Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of the Snakebite. We have women's lacrosse, the conclusion of basketball, and a whole lot more to cover, so let's roll that intro. The number 2 women's lacrosse team in the entire country continued to look just like that as they dominated Lenore Ryan on Alumni Day to win 19-8. To start the game, the Mocs honored a number of the returning members of that 2016 National Championship team pregame, and the Mocs looked very reminiscent to that 2016 team as they dominated not only in the attack but also in the midfield while delivering an onslaught of shots in their 11-goal victory. Crazily enough, in that 2016 season, these two teams faced off with a near identical result, with the Mocs winning that one 17-6. But getting back to the present day, in the win, the Mocs juniors dominated, with attacker Jenna Vetter absolutely dominating with 6 goals on 13 shots to lead the way for her team, and the midfielder junior Colby Cohen also dominated with 11 draw controls and a whole lot more to add. While the Mocs have had a bit of a cakewalk the last 3 games, winning each by 11+ against unranked opponents, they will now be right back to their gauntlet we saw them start the season with, as their schedule will go back to ranked opponents as they'll take on number 4 Maryville Sunday at noon, one of the top goal-scoring teams in the entire country.
The men's basketball season came to an abrupt end in their loss to the Montevallo Falcons. This loss is the first in program history to Montevallo after defeating the Falcons last year in the opening round of the regional tournament. In the loss, Amari Miller again was one of the lone bright spots as he scored a team-leading 25 points to hit exactly 1,000 career points, with 733 coming in his 2-year career at FSC and 509 coming in his senior season, which was his first as a starter. Similar to last year, the Mocs will lose over half of their roster to graduation, but unlike last year, will likely return 3 of their 5 main starters from this year in Amir Ramadan, Brady Corso, and Charlie Dalton. In the Mocs' third straight 20-win season, a new system was implemented early, in part due to injuries, where the Mocs looked to press more defensively and continue to fire away threes at will. With the changes, there were some growing pains in a season that will be remembered for its place in time as a major change in the program, with the Mocs building the team through the portal exclusively in the offseason with 0 freshmen on the roster. And don't worry, Carl has been glued to the portal and heavily following everything that will come this offseason, and will make sure to keep you posted with that information here on the Snakebite.
The storybook year for women's basketball has come to a close in the first round of the regional as the ladies lost to the Union Bulldogs. After securing awards, win streaks, and wins so significant, they've come back around for the first time in half a decade plus. The Mocs are now starting to slow back down. Sydney Gomes was the leader of the team this year, leading to her SSC Player of the Year award, All-Region First Team, and All SSC Conference Tournament Team awards, and Gomes led the team in practically everything, while continuing to etch her name in the record books, whether it was as the second player ever to eclipse 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 300 assists in program history, or continuing to grow her lead as the triple-double queen. However, it isn't just the Gomes show. We saw Nia Blockton's breakout from a freshman who played 39 minutes total last year to 724 minutes played this year. She became the best defensive player on the team and the heart and soul of that Moxon defense. We saw continued growth from transfers in Carlota Gomez-Alonso, who earned all SSC third team honors, as well as Lily Rangard's breakout in her own Linsanity run to close the year and push the Mocs into that regional. And similar to the men, the ladies are losing a ton to graduation, with every player mentioned other than Nia Blockton running out of Division II eligibility, as well as losing Monica Ballester, who took a major jump this year to help propel this team forward. Thankfully, the ladies will retain a number of major contributors in defensive menace Gianna Voss and the ultimate connector Lily Pereira, among others. Following Megan Zegas' best campaign as a head coach, it will be very, very interesting to see how the Mocs can bounce back after their best season in 7 years while losing the most talent in a single offseason in recent memory.
Records were broken at the NCAA Swim Championships. In 5 consecutive days of swimming, the men's swim team placed 10th of 28 teams. The Mocs finished the 2026 championship campaign with 27 All-American honors, 2 program relay records, and 2 individual program records. The relay records broken included the 200 free and 400 free, while the individual were both captured by Mazzaros in the 200 free and 200 fly. Matthias Daroca led the team in All-American honors with 6 total. Michael Tretyakov, Daniel Mazaros, Will Neville, Peter Chiksaki, Simeon Przinski, Janik Barczyk, and Nino Vialan also recorded All-American recognition. Additionally, Elizabeth Sykes and Mallory Baker completed in the women's NCAA championships, where the two swam in 4 total events, Sykes competing in the 100 and 200 fly, while Baker competed in the 50 and 100 freestyle competitions.
Men's tennis has remained busy with the number 8 team in the country putting the country, both in Division II and Division I, on notice. Don't worry, we'll talk a little bit about that D1 in just a second, but during our production time last week, the Mocs swept both Tuskegee and Jefferson University before facing off against the number 4 team in the country in Wayne State, who the Mocs then obliterated, sweeping them as well 4-0. Going back to the Tuskegee matchup, last year's SSC Player of the Year, Mario Garros, set a new school record for singles wins with his 68th against the Tigers, something he continued to add on to as the competitions continued this past week. The next matchup on the docket were the number 2 West Florida Argonauts, who just edged out the Mocs as they won the final set to secure the 4-3 victory. Then came arguably the most impressive win of the week in their win over the Division I school, Rider University, who the Mocs rallied against late and finally won thanks to late match heroics by Marco Sonati, who secured the 4-3 win over Rider. The number 8 singles player in the country, Mario Garros, deservedly earned the SSC Player of the Week honors for this past week after his historic week of success. Garros and the rest of the Mocs will look to strike again as they return to Orlando today to take on Emporia State.
As for the women's team, they split their 2 games, sweeping the number 40 Tuskegee University Golden Tigers and succumbing to the number 1 ranked UWF Argonauts. Doubles teams of Emily Genuine and Ronja Sherman and Annika Behrendorf and Jolie Miller secured the point for the doubles, while the number 38 ranked junior standout individually, Josie Holderback, Kennedy Brown, and Behrendorf secured their singles wins. Against the Argonauts, the Mocs won the doubles point, but eventually fell in singles play. It wasn't all doom and gloom, as for her performance, Holderback earned herself her first ever SSC Women's Tennis Player of the Week award. The win and the competitive play against the number 1 team in the nation forced the ITA poll voters to surge the Mocs up to number 11 in women's tennis in Division II.
At Chris Bellotto Field, we saw the Mocs don a different color than red this past weekend, with the pink jerseys filling the stadium, showing the support for breast cancer awareness between Florida Southern's matchup between the Mocs and Barry University. It started with a doubleheader on Friday, where the Mocs took on the Buccaneers, who started hot, getting a run in that first inning of action before the Mocs responded with 4 of their own in the second. 𝙏𝙃𝙀 found a way to continue to stay strong for the Mocs, going all the way to secure the 7-2 win. The Mocs looked to carry over their success from the first matchup, but after going up 2-0 in the second game of the series, they fell because of a Buccaneers siege that took Game 2 and carried through their success through Game 3 to pick up 2 wins over the final 2 games against the Mocs. On Wednesday, the troubles continued for Florida Southern, as despite many errors from a Hillsdale side, the Mocs just could not secure a win in either, as they were swept by the Chargers for the second time ever. With a 4-game losing streak now mounting up, the Mocs are looking to bounce back in St. Petersburg as they take on the 17-6 Eckerd College Tritons, who also have one of the top players in the SSC in Hannah Taylor. It will be a tall task for the Mocs, but it is time to get ready as conference play is rolling around.
Sophomore McKinley Holding has earned herself a top 5 finish in the Peggy Bell Invitational, where the women's golf team placed 8th in Lake Mary, Florida. Holding performed exceptionally well, especially on the first day, ending at even with 3 birdies through rainy weather. Overall, she carded 7 over par with 5 total birdies through the 2 days of play. Across the board, the final round was much harder, where no player in the tournament posted a score under par. Kaylee Muzo had the best round of all the Mocs on day 2 of competition, shooting a 77. She and Taylor Zachary, who competed as an individual, both finished tied 12th with a 2-round score of 153, 9 over par. They'll have a 10-day break and compete in the Lynn Invitational starting on March 30th.
Both track teams took on the SEU Invitational this past weekend with strong showings across distances. The 1500 opened up competition where the men and senior Christopher Colavita shined, as Colavita took first place in 3:52, a new personal best for him and a conference qualifying time, something that we'll have to worry about later on this semester. Later in the first day of competition, Jack Gerard won the 10K as the true freshman ran 31:22, joining him with Christian Giller and Eli Zupa as the third fastest freshman in program history over the 10K distance. That's pretty good company if you ask me. On the second day, the Mocs flexed their muscles again in the 800 as Andrew Nyland set a new personal best in his first place finish, coming across in 1 minute 53 seconds. The ladies found success too, don't you worry, as 𝙏𝙃𝙀 𝙎𝙉𝘼 ran 4:48 in the 1500 to finish second overall and 2:19 in the 800 for the third fastest time in program history. Lastly, Hope Schoenwetter set the freshman record in the 3K steeple, running 12:27. These teams will be right back to action this weekend. They'll be taking on the UCF Black and Gold Invitational starting today and going into tomorrow, where they will be looking to prove that D2 is still better than D1.
The Mocs have continued their dominance on the sand, winning 5 straight games in the last week. Last Friday, the Mocs beat Emmanuel University for the second time this season, with the most dominating pair being Haley Carefoot and Sarah Eidler, earning a commanding win over Alondra Rios and Marin Barrow at 21-9 in both sets. The following day at the Tritons Invite, the Mocs swept both Erskine and Catawba College. Both teams were dispatched of quickly with no third set play needed. Finally on Tuesday, Isabella Mutai, Lauren Passaglia, and Riley Bryant were highlighted for the team's senior day traditions. The team was able to keep the spirits lively for the seniors as they sent Lake Sumner Community College and Stevenson University packing in 4-1 set match wins. The team will be back in St. Petersburg this weekend for matches against Eckerd, Lindenwood, PBA, and Tusculum University. And as well, there's one team that we didn't talk about, the baseball team. They had 2 of their games rained out. They did win against Barry, and they're on a 10-game win streak.
Yeah, baseball finally finding that stride again, and a lot of these teams are really turning it up now as we're getting close to April, swinging around. The Mocs are starting to enter conference play in pretty much every sport, so make sure to stay glued to the Snakebite. See you next time.